You ever have one of those mornings where the world just decides to test your patience before you've even finished your first cup of coffee? That was me. Tuesday, 7 a.m., standing barefoot in my kitchen, staring out the window at a tow truck idling in my driveway. Not parked. Idling. Its engine rumbling like it was hungry for something that belonged to me. And there, right beside it, was our HOA president, Pamela Bradford, queen of the cul-de-sac, holding her clipboard like a sword. At first, I thought maybe she'd come to the wrong house. But no, she was pointing at my garage, talking to the driver, waving her arms like she was orchestrating some kind of suburban heist. I squinted through the blinds and muttered, "You've got to be kidding me." My dad's old truck, a 1990 blue Silverado, sat locked inside that garage. It wasn't just some vehicle. It was the last thing he and I worked on together before he passed. That truck still smelled like his aftershave and motor oil. And now Pamela, in her perfect beige pantsuit, decided it was an eyesore to the community. I did what any sane man would do. I locked the garage door, grabbed my phone, and called the sheriff. Then I watched, half amused, half horrified, as Pamela instructed the tow guy to find a way to hook it. The man actually tried sliding a metal rod under my garage door like he was fishing for a prize. I hit the doorbell mic. "Morning, Pam. That hook touches my door. You're buying me a new one." She looked straight at the camera, chin lifted. "Community standards allow emergency abatement," she said. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Emergency is for fires, not feelings. By the time Sheriff Keller showed up, the tow truck driver looked like he wanted to vanish. The sheriff shook his head, took one look at Pamela's clipboard, and said calmly, "Pam, a garage counts as part of his home. You touch it, that's breaking and entering." She sputtered, waved her papers, and stormed off. But before leaving, the sheriff gave me this look, a quiet warning, and said, "She's not done, son. Folks like her don't back off." They doubled down. He was right. The next morning, I found a cream-colored envelope tucked into my front door handle. Violation notice. Apparently, my bamboo wind chimes created a sound nuisance. Wind chimes. My mom gave me those. I almost laughed. By Friday, I had 3 more letters. One about the non-uniform coiling of my garden hose, one about an unapproved shade of red on my mailbox flag, and one accusing me of unauthorized decorative items, meaning the welcome mat my niece painted for me. Pamela wasn't just enforcing rules. She was declaring war. So I fought back. Not with anger, with creativity. I ordered 3 more sets of wind chimes. Big ones. Steel tubes, glass bells, the whole orchestra. Hung them up like battle flags. When the wind blew, it sounded like a haunted temple. Then I made a fake HOA newsletter, called it The Real Whisper. It featured an article titled Resident of the Month, Whoever Survives the HOA. I emailed it to a few neighbors, and it spread like wildfire. At first, it was funny, until it wasn't. One night, around 10, I saw something move on my security feed. Pamela, in a headlamp, measuring my fence with a tape measure. I watched her muttering to herself, writing things down. My fence was exactly 6 feet, the legal limit. When she realized that, she kicked one of the posts like a toddler and stomped away. I laughed so hard I almost dropped my phone. But then came something worse. A certified letter with an embossed gold seal that looked almost official. It claimed my truck was inoperable and environmentally hazardous, and that the HOA would arrange professional removal within 7 days. It was fake. Sheriff Keller confirmed it. Pure intimidation. Still, I could feel something shift in me. The petty feud was becoming something darker. Then the power went out. A storm was rolling in, and suddenly the house went pitch black. My cameras, my computer, everything died. And for a second, I just sat there in the dark, heart pounding, realizing all my proof, my footage of her harassment, was gone. Until I heard it. The low cough of the backup generator my dad insisted we install years ago. The lights flickered back on, and my cameras rebooted. And that's when I saw it. On the feed from a few minutes earlier, a white van parked 2 houses down. No markings, no logos. And right before the blackout, it drove off. I called Keller. He came over in his pickup. No uniform, just coffee and a tired expression. After watching the footage, he sighed and said, "You're right. She's not stopping. So let's make her think she's won." That's how the sting started. The next morning, we placed an old junker truck in my driveway, a decoy. Word spread fast. Thanks to a talkative neighbor, we purposely informed that I was giving up and having Dad's truck scrapped. At 8:05 sharp, an undercover deputy posing as a tow driver pulled up. He was perfect, greasy shirt, toothpick in his mouth, bored expression. And like clockwork, Pamela appeared, clipboard in hand, barking orders. "Not that one," she snapped, pointing at the garage. "The blue one inside." The deputy shrugged. "Ma'am, the order says junk pickup in the driveway." She rolled her eyes. "The order gives us access. Open the door." That line. Open the door. It was all we needed. Two big guys in black polos stepped out of a sedan, her muscle, clearly. They tried forcing the garage door. It rattled, but held. Inside, I stood in the dark behind my workbench, every nerve on edge. My dad used to say, "You can fix most problems with patience and the right tool." That day, the tool was a steel rebar across the tracks. The men shoved harder. Pamela yelled, "Get it open." Her voice cracked with frustration. Then another voice cut through, calm and firm, "Sheriff Keller." "That's enough, ma'am." He and his deputies walked up the driveway, badges out, body cameras rolling. The whole thing was on tape. Her forged documents, her orders, her attempt to break in. She tried to spin it, stammering about community aesthetics, but it was over. Keller told her, "You just signed your own confession." And sure enough, she had. Her signature right above the line that read, "Authorize access by any means necessary." Watching her face when the handcuffs clicked was, I won't lie, satisfying. The enforcers went quiet as sheep. The tow truck driver pretended to check his tire pressure. And I just stood behind that garage door, breathing for the first time in weeks. The days after felt like a movie in rewind. The county opened an investigation. Neighbors came forward with their own stories. Pamela screaming at kids for chalk art, finding an old man for improper lawn edging, even using HOA funds to pay her brother's towing company. The evidence piled up like bricks in her own cell. A week later, the HOA called an emergency meeting. The whole neighborhood showed up. I didn't plan to speak. I just sat in the front row while the assistant county prosecutor, Ms. Daniels, presented everything. The lights dimmed, and the screen lit up with footage. Pamela in my driveway at dawn. Pamela measuring my fence at night. Pamela shouting, "Get it open." Every clip hit like a hammer. When the lights came back on, someone stood up and shouted, "Vote her out." Hands shot up everywhere. It wasn't even close. She was gone. Her two allies too. Then Ms. Daniels dropped one last twist. The county was fining the HOA for lack of oversight, but would forgive it if we used the money for something good. So we did. We built a community tool library, shelves full of drills, saws, ladders, everyone sharing, helping each other fix things instead of filing complaints. We tore down the old rulebook and replaced it with 3 simple ones. Be kind, keep it tidy, talk before you tattle. Pamela sold her house and vanished. Her brother's towing company folded. And one crisp autumn evening, I stood in my garage, staring at the dent her men left in the door. I decided not to fix it. Some scars deserve to stay. I turned the key on Dad's truck. The engine roared to life like it remembered everything. The rumble rolled down the street, and my neighbors came out one by one, clapping. Not for me, for what that truck meant. Standing your ground doesn't always mean fighting. Sometimes it just means refusing to let someone erase what matters most. And I swear, in that moment, I could almost hear my dad laughing, saying, "Told you the generator would pay off." So yeah, that's the story of how my HOA tried to tow my truck from inside my own garage, and how a community finally woke up. But here's what I keep thinking about. Where's the line? When do rules stop protecting people and start controlling them? When does keeping things pretty become just another excuse for power? Tell me what you think. Was I right to fight back the way I did? Or should I have just walked away? Drop your thoughts below, because trust me, everyone's got their own Pamela somewhere in their neighborhood.